Yeah, boy.
No, no, no!
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Boom. Bam. Bop. Bada bop boom. Pow.
الصوارم نشيد الأباء ودرب القتال طريق الحياة.
Alright guys, so step 1, preparation. Now, many of you probably think preparation isn't a big deal, especially in Monster Hunter World, and very especially if you're just starting off. But for the Furious Rajang boss fight, you're going to want to prepare, trust me. You really are. So, what I usually grab on tough boss fights, like Furious Rajang and Raging Brashidios, and even regular Rajang, 10 stack of Mega Potions. That'll be your not so urgent heal. So if you have time to heal and get something down, then you'll have a couple of Megas. Then you'll have your urgent healing, which is the max potions. Maxes out your health gauge and heals you from whatever amount you're at all the way to the max. You can only carry 2 of these, mind you. Now what I want you on top of the max potion, what I want you to have is the ancient potion. Now the ancient potion is basically a max potion, but it also maxes out your stamina gauge. Now this, unfortunately, you're only able to carry 1 of them, but again, very useful. Now it doesn't have to be a well done steak, but a ration or anything of the sort. Just make sure you have that on you in the event that you need more stamina, because you're going to need some for this fight. Rajang is incredibly aggressive, very fast, and Furious Rajang is no joke. You're going to need all the stamina you can get. I like to incorporate this in the preparations. So dash juice, for those of you who aren't familiar, is something that's very useful to reduce the amount of stamina that gets depleted when you do any kind of action or attack, or for example if you're dodging a lot. Your dash juice is really going to help you there, because it greatly reduces the amount of stamina needed to do any of those actions. Incredibly useful, and I recommend bringing it. You're also going to want your Mega Demon Drug and Mega Armor Skin. So your Mega Demon Drug is going to help maximize your attack, get as much attack as you can, and your Mega Armor Skin is the same concept but only with defense, so it'll give you a nice defense buff. Now I've included Dust of Life in here, not that you're going to be playing with anyone else, but it's useful for a quick heal. So if you don't have time to chug a Mega Potion, for example, or you're out of maxes and you don't have the ability to drink potions very quickly, then Dust of Life might help you in certain situations that require a quick reaction. So you just throw it. It's kind of like it's basically a life powder, but a buff version of a life powder, and it heals you an alright amount, almost as much as a Mega. Now these are not really required at all, to be perfectly honest. However, the flash pods are fairly useful. When Rajang is enraged, you're going to want to use these, so keep them on you. Mega Barrel Bombs, if he's ever status affected where he goes to sleep, these are primo. They deal a lot of damage, and they're well worth having in the event that that happens. And of course, your traditional Power Charm, Power Talon, Armor Charm, and Armor Talon for that extra added defense and attack boost. Aside from that, I can't really think of too much. Make sure you get your food in. Make sure you eat over at the chef station. And then we'll get to the actual fight itself. Alright, so unfortunately in this run, I landed in the same spot as Furious Rajang. But essentially, as soon as you'd get in to start your quest, if you're at camp or if you're in another area, eat your consumables immediately, so, or at least when he's within sight. So here we're about to see the first move that you can take an opportunity on. So when he does his body slam, it gives you a bit of a short period that you can get 1 or 2 shots off on him, because he does a bit of a post move animation. It gives you a small window of getting a couple shots off before you can safely get a little bit of distance away from him. This next move now coming up is going to be his I don't know what you want to call it, his Kai Blast, his version of the Kamehameha, where you blast the beam out of his mouth. Alright. Truthfully, this gives you a fat window to actually deal some good damage. Now, be very careful, mind you, because the beam that he emits actually has a wider hitbox than it is. So if you get too close to it from the side, then you will take damage and you will get hit by it. So I suggest coming in either from a diagonal approach, or so long as you have a long enough weapon, just kind of hitting him from the very side, so you aren't going to get clipped by his Kamehameha beam there. That'd be advisable, but it gives you quite a nice window to either get some shots off or grapple him into the wall if you aren't playing by wiki rules. So see right here, I take the opportunity to grapple him and launch him into the wall. Now, again, if you're playing by TA Wiki rules, of course you wouldn't do this, but I'm just trying to give you as a bit of an idea of how I beat him solo. And so it just makes the whole process a little bit faster. So typically, once he takes enough damage, he'll get pissed. So when he's furious, you really gotta watch out. But he ends up later on hardening his forearms, and as you can see already, he's quite a bit more aggressive. His moves are faster, same move set except for his grapple attacks and that attack there. So when he uses his, we'll call it his lightning attack, where he just spits a row of little Kai blasts, if you want to call him that, because he looks so much like a Super Saiyan gorilla. But when he does that, the key to dodging it is simply to roll towards it, beyond it, like past it, or roll backwards from it. You never want to roll to the side because it will clip you and deal a good amount of damage. Now, he's finally been enraged here, so as you can see, his forearms got a bit of a glow to him. Essentially, to get him out of this state, you have to hit him in the head quite a few times, because otherwise you will continuously deflect off of his arms. It's no longer an option to hit. So now you, no matter what, have to hit him in the head. Now it's very important here that you be careful when you're hitting him, because if you deflect off of his arms like I just did, it's a potentially fatal mistake. As you can see, I just narrowly dodged that. Another move that you can counter and get a couple hits off is the spin move, where he does kind of like a rotation as he's moving forward. Very useful, because he does leave a bit of a window after that. Again, the B move, very useful. Come from the side, get a couple of shots off. Now, I don't know whether I got it in this clip here, but please be careful when you're knocking down Rajang and you think you got him down. If he's around any kind of wall, by all means, do not attempt to pursue him and hit him head on, because he latches onto the wall and he'll fire off another one of his Kamehameha waves, and it basically negates the knockdown if he's close to a wall. So just be wary of that. If you knock him down close to a wall, be ready to dodge another one of his blasts that he launches out of his mouth, like that Kamehameha blast there. So I'll just make maybe a little snippet of the counterable attacks, or at least the attacks that give you the biggest window to counter, and that way you'll be able to recognize his moveset and know when to attack properly. For those of you who don't quite understand the moveset, it's a useful little bit of information. So this area here is a little rough to fight him in. Reason being is because, number one, there's not a whole lot of room to move around. Secondly is because if you can see those little glacier-like points coming out of the ground that have the darkened bits in them, those explode and can deal damage to both you and Rajang. But it'll obviously affect you more than him. So you want to try to either A, have him break those to get them out of the way initially, or just stay away from them entirely. So there's a good opening here. When he does his punch into the ground that unleashes a bit of a shockwave, there's a solid opening as long as you come in from the side. To avoid getting blasted by that, you can get 1 or 2 shots off as the animation kicks quite a little bit to finish up. When he's pissed off and he does his big, I don't know what you want to call that, a dive attack essentially, you want to make sure you roll away from it, not towards it, or at least move away from it. That way it'll likely not hit you. Just make sure you get a far enough distance away and never towards him. Another thing to look out for is if you see him running towards you, he may not be using a move in particular, but be wary of his little knocks that he does with his hands or whatever that might stagger you. If he staggers you, he can pick you up and unleash a devastating combo move that you'll have seen at the earlier bit of the video, where he essentially dive bombs you into the ground and pretty much ends your career as a monster hunter. So those grapple moves, just be careful. Try not to get staggered or try to move away from him if he's moving towards you. That way you don't get grabbed and fall into a bit of a death trap. So another thing to note, when he does those shoulder roll / ground punch moves as he's moving towards you, know that no matter what, he will always follow that move up with another combo. It'll either be punching with the arms or whatever else. But don't try to go for him when he does that, because he will always follow up with another combo move. Now there is a move set where he charges towards you on all fours, and sometimes there's an opening that gets left behind, but due to the fact that it's like a maybe 50-50 chance at the most, I wouldn't suggest trying to go after him while he does that, because he can just as easily not give you an opening and chain with another move, which will leave you in a pretty rough state. So just be wary that his charge attack, he doesn't always does a post animation where you might have a second or two to hit him. Now when he does his big like dive ball or cannonball attack, whatever you want to call it, there is a short, brief moment that you may be able to hit him, but I find it a little risky, to be honest. However, you might be able to get one shot off. Just be wary that it is a risky move to make, and he might be able to get some decent damage on you if you're not quick enough. So again, just putting emphasis on watching out for his grabs. If you get you in one of those grapples, it's nearly a one-shot KO. Another thing I'd like to note that I didn't really have a chance to demonstrate. If you stay grappled onto Rajang's arms for too long, he will rip you off and perform his own little combo move on you, kind of like a grapple move essentially. Now depending on whether or not he's pissed, it'll deal a good amount of damage. If he's not pissed, he'll just kind of yeet you, and he'll come in for like a one-shot punch, which usually kills you. But when he's pissed, he does the grapple and dive bomb, which also deals a significant amount of damage. So the main key concept here is to not get grappled. Try not to get staggered. Like I said, just him turning, as long as you don't have an ability that prevents it, will stagger you. So if he turns and he hits you with his knuckle or his back foot, he'll stagger you, and I'll give them a potential opportunity to grab you and perform a rather deadly moveset. So in this map here, just be wary and be careful of the overhead icicles that fall. If you have him in a position where he's under one of those icicles and they fall on him, if he's doing an animation where you have an opening on, the icicles falling on him will actually cancel that animation. Alright, good. We finally got him limping. At this point here, of course, you can either choose to capture him should you have a pitfall trap and tranks, or you can go straight ahead for the kill. In which case, I strongly suggest using the Mega Barrel Bombs. Like I said, they're a very good damage dealer for when the monster is asleep. And as Rajang's limping, obviously that's where he's heading. He's heading to go to bed. And so we're going to get ready to plant our Mega Barrel Bombs and finish the job. So that's about 700 damage with the barrels and that little blast that went off with my status build up. So that's a good amount of damage. Again, if you have a status effect on your weapon, like sleep for example, and you put him to sleep prior to this event, prior to where he's limping, by all means do use the Mega Barrel Bombs that are there to be used, and they will deal a solid amount of damage. And there we have it. Furious Rajang is down for the count. That's it. We finally beat that Super Saiyan Ape. That said, if you guys like what you saw, feel free to drop a like, comment, if you have any questions or anything, subscribe, and hit that bell notification if you want to see some more of this stuff. Maybe next time, who knows, maybe I'll take on Raging Brashidios. That's the next step up from this anyways. At any rate, that's about it. Take her easy.